Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics, back with Foundation Paper Piecing Series 2. For July, we couldn't resist this Americana collection from Riley Blake and this beautiful layout. This is a design from Lila Gardunya. She's the one that I found here months ago. Lovely lady. I got to meet her actually at H&H in Chicago. That was such a lovely thing to see her finally in person. Gave her a big hug. But her designs in foundation paper piecing just caught my eye a while back. I think I found her on Etsy. And I love her designs. We did that butterflies when we kicked off our second series because the first one last year was so successful. We kicked this second series off with her butterflies, and then we went with some pansies, some strawberries, and I'm back to Lila's designs now with this fun Americana layout in these fabrics, and customers are loving this. And I love that people who've been reticent to give it a try are now jumping in, and I'm reading your comments, and they're really heartwarming that so many people are like having a lot of fun. They've been waiting, and some are resisting, and they're finally going, I'm going to try it. They're grabbing a kit, and they're loving it. And I was in the same boat. I told you this. I dragged I'm like, I'm not doing that. I already do piecing. I do applique. I don't need to do that. And I love it. What's on set here is the first series. We may have some of those kits left for July. I'm trying to recolor the first series and keep them both going at the same time. You can imagine I'm super busy. So no matter what design you pick, which month you pick, really the process is the same. So if you're already an experienced foundation paper piecer, you know this process. But if you're brand new, go back to the series, even the beginning of this series 2 with the April project, where I take the deep dive into how to use these products. It is not intuitive. So if you're like, that's super confusing, I'm in that camp with you. But once you figure out the simple process, easy peasy. I'm just going to do a quick review with you today. We'll make the beautiful flag block. I couldn't resist that. We're an American company. We're proud to say that. A lot of people come here every day in North Idaho. And we're a collective group of people dedicated to one mission, and that is providing a heartfelt, amazing product for you. And so we're proud to say we're an American company, so we're going to make that block together. One of the things that I love straight away about our kits, of course, is everything's included. But even if you pick up the pattern, one of the things that makes us different than some of the foundation paper patterns I've seen is most of the time it's not to scale, and you have to either go out and Xerox it and increase the size, but every time you have to go get your own foundation paper. I like using the Carol Doak. You go out and do all that Xeroxing on your own. Well, I know me in North Idaho in the middle of January, I'm not driving anywhere if I don't have to. So we've taken that out of the equation, and not only are you getting a full color pattern, but you're also getting all of your foundation papers printed for you at scale. None of that Xeroxing, none of that headed out. You can just stay home and start creating. And as you make your cuts per the pattern, you're stickering. I remember the first time I did foundation paper, and I cut all my fabrics. They all started to look alike to me, especially when you're starting to work with that white background or whatever background you have, and these sizes are just incrementally different. You forget which piece goes where. So again, make a cut, sticker it. Make a cut and sticker it. And we've included the stickers even. So something we are definitely going to continue doing because it helps you be successful. And even brand new people to sewing and quilting can look like pros right out of the gate. And I like that, right? My earliest quilts were very amateur. The seams were not matching. Things weren't exactly coming out right. And with foundation paper piecing, it really helps you look like a pro. So as I said, we're going to be making the block that is the American flag. So the first thing that you'll want to do is just cut roughly around your shapes. And you'll see this dashed line, right? That'll ultimately be our cutting line, but we'll get there in just a bit. This is a refresher. If you already know how to foundation paper piece, just head over to the website and grab your kit and your 3-piece thread set and any notions you might need. But if you want a refresher, stay with me and I'll just show you that and we'll do some of this together. So it's pretty easy to follow along that the number 1 is the first piece that you're going to be putting down. So when I cut my fabrics and get them all stickered, notice I have the letter F. And I have pieces 1 all the way up to pieces 8. Easy. Grab all of your fabrics that have a sticker from F1 to F8 and simply put them in order in a stack. Now you have everything you need to be able to make the center portion of this block. So remember that we're going to be gluing to the opposite side. That's the part to me that is the most least intuitive, right? I want to be able to be attaching to the front of this, but keep in mind, if I start gluing to the front of this, I just covered up my letters, right? My numbers. I can't see anything anymore. So my first piece, and all pieces, need to do one thing. They need to be able to cover the shape you're seeing plus 1/4 inch all the way around. That's it. That's all you're trying to do. If you have a light box, grab it. Right now, I can't really see that fabric through the back, but if I had a light box and I was laying this on there, I would be able to see it. So I have to do a little bit of a peek, or I sometimes just hold it up to the light. Once I'm in a place where I can see, yep, I'm absolutely have that covered, you'll just grab a little bit of glue, and this is really the only time you need to use glue on this project, and I just put a little bit of glue there just to hold that in place. Once you've done that, the rest won't need to be glued. So remember this acronym, TSP. What's that all about? The first thing we have to do is trim, then we're going to sew, and then P is for press. So I'm going to get my iron heating up to a full hot. Your stitch length on your sewing machine is going to be backed off to about a 1.5, somewhere along that range. And I'm going to be using a Microtex size 70 needle, super fine, very sharp. It's going to help perforate our paper and really be able to get us some really clean sewing. So I have my shape covering up my piece number 1, and of course this is the right side of the fabric. Using the add 1/4 ruler, and I'm right on my line number 1, I'm going to fold that back and crease that with my nail. Once I have that creased back, the other side has the ledge on it. And again, this is a reminder, if you already know foundation paper piecing, there's nothing revolutionary I'm going to show you today. It's the same process. This is just a refresher. I know for myself, if I haven't done foundation paper piecing in a couple months, I'm like, I might need a little refresher on that one, just because it's not the most intuitive thing. But it's like riding a bike. You get it right away. Piece number 2, same story. We just need to make sure that once we find that sweet spot, it's going to cover our piece number 2. And once we know that location, we simply place this right side together, just like this. And I'll go ahead and pin that from the top. Now, one of the things I remember as an early, when I learned foundation paper piecing, finally after dragging my feet all those years, I remember starting right at that place and ending right at that place. Someone more experienced came along and said, don't do that. They said start a couple stitches before, stitch on the line, and go a couple stitches after. That was good advice, because sometimes when I would remove the paper, if I started right in that corner, you know what I did? First off, I wasn't sewing on a short enough stitch length. I started unseating my thread, and my thread was starting right about there. So that was good advice. So let's head over to the machine, and I'm going to start a couple stitches before that. And even if you want to hand crank that to know where to start, that's fine. And let's get started. So we trimmed already, we sewed, and we pressed. Now, pressing. We've talked about the option of either doing the roll and press if you are disinclined to use the iron each time. and you just want to finger press, the clover roll and press works great. If you're like, nope, I want that down, by all means, you can do that. One thing I've cautioned you about, and I'll say it again today, is sometimes that ink, that toner, when we print on foundation paper, it's a toner. If you heat that up as we do with an iron, sometimes that can leave a smudge on your ironing board or wool pressing mat. Now when you go to use a white fabric, it might leave a residue. I have not had that problem myself, but I've heard people talk about that. So that's why I just wanted to mention that. I tend to iron, but if you prefer the roll and press, that's fine. Now, we're just going to leave that there. Over here is next, 3. So again, what do? Trim, sew, press. So this is the trim that starts off with a fold back. Now, remember how I had just a little bit of glue. If you need to pull that back so you can get a clean, do it. But we need to be right along that line, right along that line. Once we're there, fold that back. Here's the edge. Lock that in. So trim. We position our fabric. This is such pretty fabric, right? What's the mission is to cover that. Right there, no problem. Hold that in position, flip it over, give a pin, sew on line 3. Okay, trim, sew, press. All right. All right, piece number 4 here. Same story, moving in another direction. Oh, we're nice and trimmed already, okay? And now we need to make sure we're covering this section. So I'm going to hold that up. And you know what my intuition says? That it go this way, right? And it's a square. Either one has ample fabric. We make sure that no matter which direction, but I'm going to go this way. I think that's going to give me a little bit better coverage. Now, if you're ever not sure, put it in position, lay it down, pretend like you've sewn it, hold it up to the light. If it's good, that's your spot. Or again, if you've got a light box, super handy. Not required, but if you've got one, use it, right? If you got that tool, let's go ahead and use it. Trim, sew, press. Right? And then we start moving this direction. So let me continue. You've seen enough of that. You're like, I got it. Let me go do it, Jen. So I want to complete this. I will do that. And let's come back and trim this up together. I want to give you just some things to think about with that. Works really great in conjunction with a spinning mat. But let me go ahead and put the rest of that in place, and I'll be right back. So here's what this looks like right now before we square it up. That is what those dashed lines are all about. One thing we want to be just very intentional about this. I love using it in conjunction with a spinning mat. Not required, again. But if you have the resource, let's use it and make some nice clean cuts. Look at that. Now, as tempted as you might be to start removing the paper, go ahead and wait. We have our different flying geese units with the squares. And we've just found it to be, it takes the guesswork out of it because you get to sew on the line. If I took the paper off, first off, there's more pliability. More you have to make sure it doesn't get stretched out of shape. Here, we're simply stacking top to bottom, pinning, and we're sewing directly on that line. That's the reason it's so good to not take off that paper, which is what I did that when I was first kind of learning this. No one told me, keep the paper on. I was taking the paper off as I went. I don't need my seam guide either because I'm sewing on my paper, on the lines. Seam allowances, it's best to just distribute that bulk evenly. I would just press this open all the way down. Look how beautiful that is, right? You get the idea. Right side together, sew on the line, same with the top, right? Sew on the lines, same, press our seams open. Then when you get ready to remove the paper, I've got the tweezers on here. You can get most of this with your fingers, but if you ever get any small spots, right, that your fingers just don't get in there, maybe sometimes in those corners, just grab those tweezers. They're great for that. Once you have your 4 blocks done here, just like we've been doing, in comes our sashing, our cornerstone, the batting. We'd love to quilt through the whole thing. I just love that embossed look with our 3-piece thread set, binding, and the hanging sleeve. If you haven't seen that process, again, I take you through that in the very first one of the series here, and I'll take you, it's a longer video. Grab a snack, your favorite drink, and I'll talk you through that whole process. But the way to go is get the kit. I mean, my goodness. You get all of the pattern I just showed you, full color, along with the foundation papers printed for you, with your stickers, all of these exact fabrics. The only thing you need to be adding on will be your thread set and some fusible fleece or batting for the middle. But for me, when I'm at a quilt retreat, the pulling out a kit versus pulling out yardage and I'm start cutting all of my own shapes is a dream. I love that it's all there and ready to go. Pick up the other kits as well. They're flying out the door, especially our first series. Subscribe, let a friend know as well, and I'll see you soon as we continue our foundation paper piecing series.